Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a brand new video. Now before I get into the video, big congrats to this viewer for winning the 500 bucks. We've finally hit 6,000 subscribers, and as I have promised you guys, I'll give away to one of you 500 bucks. Well, someone who comments a lot and engages with the videos, right? So big congrats on that. Today I have an interesting video for you all. What we're doing today, we're discussing some of the issues that are common around the Golf 7 platform. Now in this video, I'll also make a lot of references to other cars that are not necessarily the Golf. Say for example the Audi A3 or the VW Polo, because essentially these cars are all under the VW Audi Group MQB platform. What that means is that they share some components in a nutshell. So let's get into the video. I really do hope you enjoy it. So guys, I think I'll rank them up from least problematic to the worst. So basically from the lowest bill type of problems to the highest bill problems, the ones that will be like the most expensive to sort out. Well, not really, but kind of. Yeah, so the first one will be a little silly. It's just a small thing, but if you do love your car, like, it will matter in a sense, and that is the dash cover. So the protection for the two dials, that is the ref count and the speedo, scratches so easily. Like you'd need like a really soft cloth or I don't know what to like wipe it off, because it catches dust so easily. That's the thing. And you try to wipe it and it just scratches so easily. Like, that's one small thing. Secondly, that is if you have a car with keyless entry, with the start stop button, that is prone to wearing and tearing away. And those little wear and tear covers, they tend to enter like in between the spacing area for the start stop button, and it may jam in a way. And also if you spill like some kind of fluid around the start, I mean, you should be careful not to, but the story here is it damages so easily, and it is prone to clogging, where like you'd struggle to like push it, like it would get clogged. And when you go to start or stop the car, you just struggle. You have to push it really hard. There's also reports of some people having rattling sunroofs, like the sunroof tends to rattle. And also in some worst case scenarios, the sunroof actually develops some leaks and cracks. Like, imagine that. Like, I've never experienced that with this car. It's still totally fine, the sunroof that is. But yeah, there are people who report having like cracked sunroofs or leaking sunroofs, and I can't even imagine how that is. Now, jumping a bit into the big boys, so electronic handbrake failure or fault. So the electronic handbrake is like prone to failing or having a fault, and you'll get to drive the car and it shows you that it is engaged even when you've tried to disengage it, or you go to try and disengage it and it doesn't show you that it's disengaged, but the car still drives for some reason. And the funny part is that it continues making that funny electronic brake noise, like while you're driving. Like, that sound keeps on happening like constantly, and it is a bit annoying and irritating. So I'm pretty sure that's very expensive to sort out. Like, yeah, that's insane. So far I've seen two cars with this problem. One was a Golf GTI, the other was an R. both cars are like 2015 models. And the thing is, cars that tend to have problems are actually the early cars, like 2014, 2015. So the earliest of cars. The later cars, especially the facelifted cars, so the 7.5s, I haven't seen any problems with those, but they're still relatively new, so we haven't really had those do like very, very high mileage, you know. But yeah, but anyways, moving on. So one of the most common problems is this error reading light, which comes on and say workshop error, leave car in position P. So basically leave car in park. Most dealerships do say that it's nothing to worry about. It's just some fault reading with the sensors having to do with the gearbox or something, and it's like it wouldn't harm the car or cause any problems with the cars in any way. And this one is really common amongst a lot of the VW Audi group cars, like Polos, Audi A3s, Audi A1s, and of course the Golfs. Yeah, but I think in the worst case scenario, if that error reading light gets worse, it could hint to having mechatronic issues, of which I'm about to get into just now. So moving on from the error workshop lights, I think next, one of the biggest problems that actually, this one solely applies to the Golf R, is having Haldex pump issues. And what happens is that people don't tend to regularly change the Haldex pump oil, and what happens is that the pump itself gets contaminated, and it can clog in a way with contaminants and whatsoever. And how do you know that your Golf R has that issue? So what would happen is that the car would quite literally turn to front wheel drive. Remember, the R is all-wheel drive, what VW dubs the 4Motion, so it pulls on all four wheels, so power is sent to all four wheels. But when you have Haldex pump issues, the car literally drives through the front wheels only. So how you see that is that the car will actually do like a burnout, or the front wheels will slip a lot. Like to be able to see this, just try and do a launch control. When you go do launch control, the car will literally spin up the wheels, sometimes even smoking the tires in a way. That's like worst case scenario and all. So that, you know, you're having Haldex pump issues. So the Haldex system is basically the type of all-wheel drive system that these manufacturers use. Like these cars that are mainly front-wheel drive based, and they tend to all-wheel drive. So basically the whole platform is built around front-wheel drive. So like the Golf, for example, essentially it's a front-wheel drive platform, but the R is all-wheel drive. So that's a Haldex. Pretty much all the cars in this segment, your Audi RS3, your Mercedes A45, I want to say Focus RS, but I think also the Focus RS. So they are all like front-wheel drive platform cars, and they use a Haldex system, all-wheel drive. So the Haldex helps in sending power to the rear wheels. And when you have Haldex pump issues, then your car is essentially front-wheel drive. I think moving on from the Haldex pump, one of the worst problems you can have with these cars is turbo failure. And the main cars I've seen with this problem are the 2015s Golf GTIs. So the 2015 models are the most prone to having this problem, and by now it's 2022. In SA, most 2015 Golf GTIs are probably out of warranty. So if you have that issue, you have to pay for the turbo replacement yourself. And it really doesn't mean the car is being abused or anything. The turbos just tend to give away. mainly on high mileage cars, and like you'd have to, and that's a big part. The turbo is a big part of the engine, so if you have issues with that, it'll most likely be like a huge bill. One, replacing the turbo. Two, the labor to fit the new turbo. I'm pretty sure that'll be like very expensive. Oh, another common issue that I've actually forgotten is these cars tend to have the thermostat or water pump housing like fail in a way, and it causes coolant to leak, and when you go to open the bonnet area, you'll smell a lot of coolant that usually has to do with the thermostat. Somehow, some way, like the nuts and bolts or the gluing around it fails or whatever, and coolant will tend to leak. And then in worst cases, you'll fill up the car with coolant and you'll be surprised you'll still get the coolant low warning light, or like the coolant won't last that long. Like you go to fill it up and within a day or two you're surprised the light is back again. That would mean your thermostat is giving away. I've had one friend with a Polo GTI who's told me he's had the same issue, and he's paid about 9,000 rands to have the whole thing replaced. I think initially he was quoted 12,000, and then he was given some kind of discount and he only paid about 9,000. So that is common not only on Golfs, but across a whole range of VW Audi group cars, including Polos, A3s and Golfs, of course. So I think lastly, the last one I want to tap into is issues with the Mechatronic unit, and I think that is one of the worst issues you can have. So the Mechatronic unit is literally the brainchild for the DSG transmission. So it helps in actuating the clutches and selecting gears. And what happens is, if you have issues with the Mechatronic, essentially the car will fail to select some gears or to engage the clutch, and literally the car is not drivable but that. And I've spoken about this before, and the problem is, again, this is not something that happens because the car is being abused. They're just prone to failing somehow, some way. But this mainly applies to the cars, to the older cars, like I've mentioned, or the earlier cars, cars that use the dry clutch setup. In the newer cars, the 7.5s, they introduced the wet clutch system, and those have far better cooling, and they're not prone or as prone to Mechatronic issues. Well, I haven't seen any reports of a 7.5 having Mechatronic issues. Okay, actually I lie. I've seen one, but that car was driven really hard, like literally really hard. So that may be why, and the Mechatronic was. But anyways, back to the main story here. So the Mechatronic unit is prone to failing, primarily on cars that use the dry clutch setup, and that is a big bill. It costs around, I think, 45,000 to 50,000 rands to have the whole thing replaced. So yeah, it is quite expensive, and it is one of the worst problems to have. And I think how you notice that a car is about to have that problem is when you go to drive the car on like a bit of an incline, whether it's a road or a driveway that is a bit inclined or steep in a way, and you creep the car slowly, so you get to roll the car slowly, it'll start jittering and vibrating, kind of like if you drive a manual car, you put it in a very high gear and try to drive it slowly, like it'll start like jittering and vibrating. It's kind of the same thing going on, like it feels like that. So the car does that, and eventually the problem will get worse, and the car will like refuse. You won't be able to select gears. Like you'll try to go into reverse, the car won't allow you to go into reverse and all, which is, yeah, that's a big bummer. So these cars do really have some issues. And also, if you know any more issues surrounding these cars, do comment down below. What are some of the other problems that I didn't manage to pick up on? It's a nice GTI. So yeah, a lot of you guys do tend to know a lot about these cars, probably more than I do, but I've done some research here and there, and these were the main ones that I've found that people are experiencing and all. But otherwise, hey, it is a great car in a way, but when a car has issues, it's not so great anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, and I'm really hoping you guys enjoyed this video. And until next time, that's cheers from me.